But okay, so Abdus was suffering from something that's called co-concurrent disorders. And that is a clinical medical term for what people used to call dual diagnosis. But now it's called something else. But basically what it is this. Co-concurring disorders refers to having a coexisting mental illness and substance abuse disorder. And be clear that substance abuse, what we think of as addiction, is a disorder. It is a clinical medical disorder. So what Abdus didn't understand, number one, was that he suffered from bipolar disorder, which was only diagnosed, I said in the show last week that it was 3 years ago. But actually, when I checked, it was actually 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, that Abdus Shahid was finally diagnosed with bipolar disorder and finally received medication for it, just 2 years ago. He also suffered from substance abuse disorder. And that's where the shame and embarrassment and lack of trust comes in, where he wasn't sure if he was able to talk about this. But it is a disorder. Addiction, substance abuse is a clinical disorder. It's not a moral failing. It's not an indication of moral bankruptcy on individuals. It's not a lack of willpower among individuals. It is a medical disorder, and the medical community, the science community around the world recognize this. So a little bit more about co-concurring disorders here on Psychology Today. As you can see, this article comes from. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit because now I'm sure you have questions. The common co-occurring disorders, and they are a lot more common than we think they are. People with mental health disorders are more likely to have a substance abuse disorder than people who do not have either one of those. You understand what I'm saying? So roughly half of the individuals who have either a mental illness or a substance abuse disorder will have the other at some point in their lives. And this is according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. I'm sure people are asking, well, which develops first, the addiction or the mental illness? There is no scientific consensus on this because, first of all, that's a dumb question. I feel like people ask that question because they still want to judge people, because they're hoping that, the answer is, well, the addiction comes first. And then the mental disorder comes after. So then all people have to do to avoid the mental disorder is to not, become an addict. It's not that simple. There are many pathways to co-occurring disorders. People with mental illness often turn to drugs or alcohol to self-medicate their anxiety, depression, or PTSD, which can then turn into addiction. For others, chronic substance abuse and the problems that follow may lead to depression, anxiety, or other conditions. Both disorders can exist without causing the other due to underlying genetic or environmental factors.